Welcome everyone, it's Michael DeHaan from Care to Grow. I'd like to welcome Marianne Hynes. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, thanks for coming. So this is part of our Women's Empowerment series, and Marianne's kindly come on to, I suppose, talk about her voice and visibility and her journey along the way in regard to empowering women in her career. So again, thank you for being a part of this series.
Thank you. It's something I'm very passionate about, and the empowerment of women. So I think it's a really awesome series to be for you to have undertaken. So congrats on the great initiative.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Just a brief background. So Marianne's had a long-term career in the corporate world, and for the last 4 years up to August, you were the COO of PwC Indigenous Consulting, which would have been a challenging role. So, and now you've got some exciting news to share, which I'll let you do it in regard to leading the corporate world. So what I'd first like to do, buddy, is get to know you personally and get our listeners to sort of learn a bit more about you. So do you want to share some information about yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. So Marianne Hynes, I'm a country girl born and raised. So I spent the first 11 years of my life in the country until being sent to boarding school in Brisbane when I was aged 11. And it was actually in Brisbane and at boarding school that I actually got my love of people and teams, because I was with a bunch of amazing girls who are still friends today. And it was there that I found my love of the city. So when I left school, I joined the corporate world probably about 17 years of age. And for the first 15 or so years, I worked in really male-dominated industries. So think engineering, construction, IT. So it was very male-dominated, and I had to really learn how to survive in that world, particularly coming from my background, which wasn't corporate. My parents are farmers, so very steep learning curve for myself. And one of the things that I really noticed in my career, particularly in that time, is that I didn't have any leaders that I aspired to be. Like, I used to look up to these leaders and go, well, I don't want to be like that. That's not who I am. And so I really struggled, and I didn't have any mentors or female mentors at the time to really sort of help guide me through some of the challenges, particularly back then, that women face, because there wasn't any diversity and inclusion programs or departments at that stage. And it wasn't until I actually joined PwC and I was nominated and successful in getting on a global leadership development program, which actually lasted a whole year. Amazing program, and forever grateful for it, because it was actually there that I realised that I needed to become the leader that I needed, and to ensure that the younger women and all women are getting that guidance and support that I wish I sort of had. So that was the real emphasis for me to jump into leadership. And one of my favourite quotes, and it was a quote that I chose while I was on this leadership development program, and it's something that I still hold really dear to my heart today, and that is one from Gandhi. So be the change you wish to see in the world. And so I ended up taking my leadership role into PwC Indigenous Consulting, as you mentioned, Michael, as a COO. And I had 4 amazing years there, working from what was 3 years into a startup to like a fully fledged business by the time I left. And I absolutely loved and valued my time, and a lot of great learnings there. But it was, as you mentioned, I made the decision that it was time for me to leave that role, but also leave my corporate career the way that I was at that time. So that was 25 plus years I was saying goodbye to. So I think it's been 3 months now. And in the 3 months' time, I took a little bit of a break, but now I'm really focused on building my own dream and building a business that is truly aligned to my passions and what I'm really good at, and my values as well. So that's Quantum Leap Global, and it's really focused around igniting human and business potential using transformational tools. So looking at transformational coaching, transformational leadership, and transformational facilitation as well. So people is something that I'm absolutely passionate about, and particularly women. So this is why I think this is such an amazing series that you're doing, Michael, because I think it's really important now more than ever that women are supporting women, particularly, and also we are sort of valuing the different skill sets and ways of being that women have, as well as in partnership with males as well.
Yeah, wow. Thank you for sharing. And I'm interested that the sort of timing that you sort of left corporate and sort of looked at your purpose and what drives you, what your passion is, and it was around that COVID period. So I'm really interested in the question about, did that sort of give you more time to reflect, or share a bit more about that?
Absolutely. I firstly would like to acknowledge, I know that a lot of people are still struggling with COVID. So absolute empathy and my heart felt for all of you, and hopefully things start to turn around soon, particularly with Victoria now opening. But for me personally, in the role that I was in, it was very fast paced and it was very demanding, as you would expect. And I also travelled a lot, and plus just even travelling into the city, like it was a 2-hour part of my day. So COVID gave me the opportunity to slow right down, gave me the opportunity to be at home and to really start to reflect where I was in my career and where I actually wanted to go next. So it did present an opportunity for me to step out of my career and really take some time to think about where I wanted to focus my energy. And just on a personal note too, like I had developed an autoimmune in the last 3 years, and I knew that I needed to change my environment so that I could support my health. And it's amazing what, even in the last couple of months, the healing that sort of happened, and that too has really ignited my passion for my business as well, and really focusing not just on high performing teams and igniting potential in our people, but also ensuring that there is wellness in our staff and our friends and family as well, but it's actually modelled at the top. And not just a program that some staff might take. So another area I'm absolutely passionate about. So yes, COVID for me was a positive. Yeah, so it's been great.
No, thank you for sharing that. And I'm interested, we've talked before around your role as in leadership, especially with in PwC, and you've taken on mentor roles with women. It'd be just really great, I suppose, for listeners to hear one story or on how you sort of supported the women in corporate, say younger women, and finding their feet in the corporate world, which you all know too well.
Yeah, I think because I think the first person, and this is for everyone out there, whether you're male or female, is that you need to be able to support yourself. And I think one of my key learnings is that I had a lot of self-doubt, even in myself, like, was I doing it right? Was I fitting in? So even down to speaking, now, I'm doing it now, but there was a period where I was so fearful of speaking. When I got asked to do it, my knees would shake and my hands would sweat and stuff like that. But I really had to work through that fear. But because I went through all these challenges, it really empowered me, because I've sort of lived the experiences to help these younger women, and I'm still helping them today. And it's actually one of my greatest passions, is to watch them grow and thrive, and then go on and do it for the next set of younger women as well. So it's almost like this sort of legacy that we all have the power to do when we're sort of coaching and supporting, particularly the younger generation, so that they can, I'm a firm believer, I want my coachees to be where I am at a much younger age, so that they can empower the next generation, and so on and so on. So, and I think it's actually really important to acknowledge that the women that came before us as well, there's a lot of amazing women, including my mother and grandmother, who all set the foundation for me to step onto that and then to up level, basically. So
yeah. Well, thank you. And you pretty well answered the question, but I'll ask it in a more direct sense around what advice would you give a 25-year-old Marianne Hynes in the corporate world, trying to find a feet, really trying to maybe not be authentic, just trying to mould into something that they think they have to be? What sort of advice would you give them?
Interesting question. I, like many women back then, we had to adopt survival mechanisms. And I feel like I most certainly did that as well, just to sort of fit in and just get things done. But my advice that I would give to myself when I was 25 was just to really have confidence in myself and to really own my unique set of skills and gifts that I have to offer, and not to worry about being perfect. You just need to, and proving to everyone else that you're worthy. Just know within yourself that you are worthy, and it's all going to be okay. Just enjoy the journey, and you're going to be okay.
I like that, and not to be too hard on yourself.
Not, definitely not. I think we can
Wow.
we can definitely be our own worst critics.
Yeah.
And it's interesting on that, like, and I suppose I see this with other women that I coach, is that I see myself in them. And so I can pick up, like, when they say something, I'm like, oh, I remember when I was also struggling with that exact sort of, so they're very common things that we go through across the board.
Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot, and I haven't answered this question, but there'll be a young woman watching this, or ideally more than one young woman watching this, that would really, if resonated with them, they'd really want to reach out and maybe have a 30-minute meeting with you to tell them their story and maybe get some support mentoring. Is that something that you would offer?
Yeah, absolutely. So Marianne, Marianne at quantumleap-global.com. Send me an email. I will absolutely love to have a chat with you and explore how I can support you in your growth. It's something that I am absolutely passionate about, and I love seeing the transformation that that occurs when I work with you, when I can work with you.
No, thank you very much. I was hoping that was the answer. I appreciate that. And again, thank you for your time. It's, again, I suppose, sharing your wisdom, and you spoke about it before, like you learned wisdom and you're now giving it to younger people. So again, I'm very grateful for that. And
I learned it the hard way, so hopefully you don't have to.
Thank you again, and I really enjoyed the interview. Thanks, Marianne.
Thanks, Michael.
See you.